welcome to Digital Shift, also known as Corporate Evolution Tales. Join us as we dive into the dynamic world of digital transformation. From illuminating case studies to captivating narratives, we uncover the stories behind companies' journeys toward digital excellence. Whether you are a seasoned corporate leader or an aspiring innovator, our podcast explores the shifts, challenges of modern business evolution. Hello everyone, this is another episode of Digital Shifts, aka Corporate Evolution Tales, and today my guest is Shaun. Thank you, Shaun, so much for being today with us.
Thank you for having me.
Amazing. Okay, would you like to briefly introduce yourself before we'll go deeper to digital transformation?
Absolutely. My name is Shaun Whynacht. I'm the founder of a company called Blue Cow Marketing. We're based in the East Coast of Canada. And I've been doing digital marketing for over 20 years, 13 of which have been in marketing automation.
Amazing. Okay, I'm sure you have your own opinion about digital transformation then. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, let's start from the general question. What are your thoughts on digital transformation? What is it for you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, if I go back to when I started to use digital means and transforming my business,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was very early on. At the age of 17, before the marketing side, I was a DJ
Mm-hmm.
back then, and I was always interested in technology, and I started to bring technology to that industry so that
Mm-hmm.
my clients were able to go into a website, search my entire library, send it out to their guests. They could request songs. So it made it easier for
Yeah.
me showing up to an event to know the playlist that was there.
Mm-hmm.
So as I transformed through the years, technology, 20 years has evolved a lot.
Yeah.
And what I'm seeing now is businesses, even though some are reluctant to really go full in on transforming and
Mm-hmm.
using technology, AI, automation, they're still using a lot of technology already in their business. So I see that this transformation side doesn't have to be so much in the sense of it's replacing you. It
Mm-hmm.
needs to enhance what you're doing. You still need to
Yeah.
be very much part of it in your business. And that's the type of work that I'm doing day in and day out is not
Mm-hmm.
how can I use automation and AI to replace you? It's how do we figure out what it is that you're doing and can we do it better with these
Right.
tools?
Yes. So you mentioned about the fear of people being replaced by digital transformation, and I think that's the hot topics generally in this podcast. So why people are afraid of it, how we can help them not to be. So what are your thoughts? Are there any skills that people should have in order to have the smooth digital transformation?
Yeah, absolutely. The skill of being curious is a
Mm-hmm.
big one. So, maybe you're not going to be the one going in and programming AI to do things, but you need to understand what it can do.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people just think that AI, from a business sense, can write blog posts, can write social media posts, but it can
Yeah.
do a whole lot more. And just back to this idea of replacing, the fact that you have this fear that your job is going to be obsolete
Mm-hmm.
really is probably you have a hesitation to
Yeah.
learn or a hesitation to change or adopt new technology that's coming out would be probably very much parallel to why you have that fear of it's going to replace you.
Mm-hmm. Agree. And when we are speaking about the communication that is coming with digital transformation, will you agree that it is one of the crucial points of having a good digital transformation?
Absolutely. I mean, the information is key. Data is
Mm-hmm.
key. Data beats opinion hands down every single time. So just understanding that what you hear in maybe the mainstream media about
Mm-hmm.
how, these AI bots are now taking over customer service, right? Companies are
Yeah.
replacing humans with this. Eh, There still needs to be some programming happening there. And,
Mm-hmm.
we're still a ways out from it being fully human-esque, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the technology will adopt to that. But what you need to look at is, and I listened to a podcast today actually about this, was that companies and businesses are now able to do things they would never have been able to do with the manpower that they would have.
Mm-hmm.
Walmart optimizing 800,000 products with AI. No human is going to sit down and do that.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think it's reasonable, but look at it as what can I do more? Like, what can I expand now that I have this technology?
Yeah, I think it's all about the questions. As you mentioned, there are some questions that we should give to ourselves even before we will start our digital transformation journey. And specifically with those questions, finding the goal probably
Hmm.
of the process or why you want to do this change. Because again, whenever we are changing something, we need to understand why we are doing it, and we need to be able to explain the same to other people so they are not afraid of that change. And a lot
Hmm.
of people are thinking, yeah, AI is going to replace us, or like the automation of the process is going to replace us. But I think it's more about, as you mentioned, about curiosity of the person. And if they want to develop or like improve their skills, they will never be replaced by the process. They will just support the process and be being the core of that
Hmm.
part, right?
And I can add something to this. The bottom line is that people do business with people.
Yes.
And to give you a real life example of how I've utilized technology to enhance my people to people part of the business is
Mm-hmm.
I offer a marketing assessment. That's one of the intros to my business. It's a paid thing. People enter a bunch of questions and it comes to me. Now, naturally, I would just have received that and had to read through it all and figure it out and go from there. But I was able to take that, run it through a ChatGPT, OpenAI
Yeah.
prompt that I built to take the answers and formulate it in a way that is
Mm-hmm.
about 90% done for me. But I
Yeah.
then get that document and can go in and actually modify, because AI is not,
Mm-hmm.
it's not you, it's not 100% you. So
Yeah.
what I've done is I've able to enhance that experience and make my time with the client more effective. So I'm able to lower
Mm-hmm.
the price for them to get this to a more reasonable level, because if I had to
Yeah.
charge what it would take me the time to do all that stuff that AI did, the price would be 3 or 4 times higher, right? So now
Yes.
I'm able to keep my price points lower, but still give that high
Mm-hmm.
quality one-to-one relationship.
Yes, agree. And it's all about the productivity and
Mhm.
finding the time for more important things that will bring more value than rather than, as you mentioned, like wasting the time. Well, not wasting, but having that
Mhm.
time on more stuff that is that can be handled by AI
Yeah,
or
and
any
time is
automated
that one
tool.
asset that you don't get
Yeah,
more of, right?
agree, definitely. And when we are speaking about digital transformation, I would say that there are some phases that are critical for any company. What do you think, in your opinion, are those phases? Like, are there any highlights for you when we are speaking about digital transformation as like the process? Okay, this is the start, this is the middle. Can you imagine it in that way, or it's just one line?
Absolutely. So, my method of going about digital transformation with my clients may be different than other people. A lot of the
Mm-hmm.
times, the work that I'm doing is coming in and implementing, let's say, a marketing automation system or a CRM system, or even some workflow automations that are there. So, the
Yeah.
first thing we need to do is we need to figure out where they're currently at. So, the first
Mm-hmm.
step is an audit. They can do it, I can do it with them, of what's their current process in all elements of their business. It could be in their sales, fulfillment, post sale, all that kind of stuff. What are all the tasks that are happening there? And then, is there any technology involved currently? I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, maybe they have a bunch of different tools that they're using. And so we're going to look at how can we either eliminate some of those tools that they have to bring it
Mm-hmm.
into one centralized process,
Yeah.
or could we automate some of the stuff that they're doing over and over again? And it can be as simple as, using something to give them a template library of their most common questions that they have.
Yeah.
It could be training a custom GPT on all their knowledge based stuff
Yeah.
internally, so that when they get an inquiry, their customer service person can just ask the GPT that question,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll get the answer that's there versus having to search through stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
we're looking at,
Yeah.
you know, pulling in the amount of time in different elements. So that's the audit phase. And then from there, what we're going to do is what's the most impactful for us to touch
Yeah.
first. So what's their biggest pain point? What's
Mm-hmm.
causing the most bleeding, I guess, in the company. So we're going to attack those ones first and get those put into
Mm-hmm.
place, as opposed to let's transform the entire company all at once,
Yeah,
right?
that's
But
happening
they,
a
they
lot.
Absolutely. And one key step that usually is missed is the decision to bring in technology is usually at that C-suite higher management level,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're like, we want to be more streamlined, and they go out and they find the suppliers, they do the plan, but they don't ever consult the people that are doing the
Yeah.
work, that are there, as to, how do they work? Are they, they
Mm-hmm.
visual learners? Are they audible? Like, what's the actual process they go through?
Yeah.
So you need to get that buy-in there, and bring them into the process, because in
Mm-hmm.
the end, you can transform an amazing process, but if the
Right.
team's not adopting it or buying into it, it's never going to go anywhere.
Agree, definitely. And when you mentioned about the work that can help, or like training the GPT, so the research can be done easily, it's always coming to my mind that the documentation is crucial part as well. When we are speaking
Hmm.
about communication, it's not only that, it's also having everything documented somewhere so people can easily find it. Specifically with GPT, of course, being trained, but also having some library from where you can get the information rather than going to the person. And maybe
Hmm.
that person is not already with us in the company. So I think it's very important to have that part as well. So we are not
Hmm.
missing any information, and we know a place from where we can take that stuff, right?
And it always needs to be evolving. So once you've
Yeah.
launched this, you know, every month, every 3 months, whatever cadence you want to have, you need to keep looking back and saying, do we need to keep adding to
Mm-hmm.
this? Are there some processes
Right.
that now are obsolete because the market's changed, our consumer base has changed, our products have changed?
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're ending up with this out of date, disconnected
Yes.
process in the back end.
Agree, agree. And when we are going here, I would like to ask you about the challenges, and what were some of major challenges or are right now that are coming to your mind when we are speaking about digital transformation?
So some of the challenges is too much information.
Mm-hmm.
I deal primarily in the small to medium business world, and most of the business owners are online. They're on
Mm-hmm.
social media, and they're just being hit with so much information, so many tools coming out, and a lot of them either have friends that try something and like, you
Mm-hmm.
need to try this tool, so they go and try it, and they try it because it's flashy versus it
Mm-hmm.
will actually do what they
Right.
need to do, because they, in most cases, don't know what they need it
Yeah.
to do. So that's one of the biggest challenges, is reflecting internally in your company, in yourself, and what do you need out
Mm-hmm.
of the company to be more productive, more fulfilled, more happy?
Yeah.
What does your team need? And then ultimately, what is the experience you need for your clients going through?
Yes.
Because a lot of cases, you're too close to your business to even know what the clients need, right?
Yes.
You may be pushing all this technology because you love technology, and your
Mm-hmm.
audience doesn't need it.
Agree, definitely. And when we are speaking about the challenges, also one of the things, as you mentioned, related to clients is the fear of the cost when we are speaking about digital transformation, because a
Hmm.
lot of people, when they want to start the digital transformation, they of course are thinking about the price of it, right? And they're like, okay, maybe I will postpone it like for another 2 years and will continue with the stuff that I'm already doing manually. But
Hmm.
I think it's worth of it to have that price basically paid at that moment, rather than just using 10, 20 tools that will basically at the end be the same price, right? So do you think how we can explain people that it's worth of having the digital transformation?
Absolutely. I love this question because this comes up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you look at the cost to transform, the cost to implement,
Yeah.
the cost to take that action. But if you take the time to say, what's the cost of inaction? What's the cost of not doing it? Right? How
Mm-hmm.
much time are you wasting with these disjointed systems, these manual systems? And you start to put a price per hour on your time, your team's time, by the amount of wasted time that's there. You can easily see that moving forward is going to have a higher return in there. If it's a cash flow issue, try to roll it out in phases, right? You don't have to do the whole thing, in the next 6 months. If you need to do it over 3 years, let's do it. Let's do 6 phases of this every
Right.
6 months, so you can bring that cost,
Yeah.
cut it that way, and expand it over those 6 periods that are there. But that's the big thing is understanding what it's actually costing you to not do it.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
And when we are looking back, what are some of the key lessons or like insights you gained so far from being in this field of digital transformation?
I think the biggest thing, and this comes back to like foundationals on everything. I mean, if you're going to build a house, you're not just going to run to the lumber yard and buy some wood and just start to build. You're going to need
Yeah.
a blueprint. You need to know what you want. You need to know everything that's there, and
Mhm.
that's the key. Is you need to think through the process before you even start.
Yeah.
And so that's the first one, is thinking it through. The
Mhm.
second one is you need to gain the advice, the help of somebody outside your business that can help
Yes.
do this. So, people that are focused on the transformation, whether it's more
Mhm.
on in-depth tech or it's, automation or AI,
Yeah.
you're not going to be able to do the best job or the job that your business needs by just
Yeah.
watching YouTube videos or buying an online course or something like that. Um, while they're great for quick fixes, you need
Mhm.
somebody who's done this before, and
Yeah.
can challenge you to say, why are you doing that process? So when you
Mhm.
outline this process of this is what we do, and I run
Yeah.
into this all the time, I'll ask the question, explain it to me. Why are you doing that? And if the
Yes.
answer is, well, I don't know, because that's just the way that we've done it or somebody else has done it
Mhm.
before, now it's time to re-engineer that process,
Yeah.
right? It could
Yes.
be quicker, it could be more efficient, because if you don't know why you're doing something, you shouldn't be doing it.
Yes, definitely agree with that. And you mentioned about the experience of people, and what are your thoughts on, okay, so company is deciding not to hire any other like third party person or service provider for doing the digital transformation. Is it about the experience of people in the company that can help, or it is about the amount of people that basically are covering the work and they can do that again?
I think it's a little bit of both. When I work with teams that, are more than just one, I want as many of those people involved in the process. They don't have to be in every step of it, but more so in that planning side. So, if you can get a cross section of people in different age demographics,
Mm-hmm.
genders, years that they've been with the company or with you, is great. Even if you have some really good clients that you could like bring in
Yeah.
to be part of this that are
Mm-hmm.
open to that, you're going to get views and opinions on stuff that you may never have thought of, that's there. So if
Right.
you're going to do it internally, if you've got different departments, maybe
Mm-hmm.
get a champion in each of those departments that's willing to be part of this whole build out process, along the way, because what you come up with around a boardroom table or at your desk is, here's what we want, and then it gets built. There's misinterpretations that may happen along the way, that what you get out of the end is a little off from what it is that you wanted.
Yes.
And you need to be able to
Yes.
identify those and get those
Mm-hmm.
modified.
Agree, definitely. And we spoke about GPT and AI and all that part. So, are there any emerging technologies or trends that are coming to your mind that particularly can help with digital transformation other than those?
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
I use ChatGPT just because it's a common term, but there are
Sure.
companies that will use Claude or any other ones that are out
Mm-hmm.
there because they prefer those, and they do different things. But what we're seeing is the evolution of voice AI. That's a
Yeah.
big one that's coming out. So in the insurance industry, which I have several clients in that, one of the time consuming things is calling people where their insurance policies are up for renewal to see if they can have an appointment with them, and kind of renew that. So that's
Yeah.
a time thing. So what we're seeing is these voice AI calling bots, agents, whatever you want to call them, are becoming so realistic that the software can actually be programmed to call the client 30 days, 60 days, whatever we
Yeah.
decide before that renewal is up, and say, hey, it's, so and so, the agent. You don't even hide
Yeah.
the fact that it's AI. Just would love to have an appointment with you. When's a good time? And it can actually have real discussions back and forth and book those appointments. It can call and follow up. Is tomorrow still a good time to come in? If they say no, perfect, let's reschedule. So now what we're seeing is all this administrative stuff that really doesn't need to be done by a human being can now be
Yeah.
done with AI out there. So we're seeing more and more of this, and the
Mm-hmm.
talk from the kind of the marketing
Yeah.
influencer space is these AI influencers, like full video AI generated
Mm-hmm.
people, are becoming more realistic to the point of probably in a couple of years you won't be able to identify if they're real or not. That's where people start to get scared that way.
Yes. Yes.
But if you're not trying to be deceptive in it, and
Mm-hmm.
you're not trying to be someone else,
Yeah.
then it becomes an enhancement, a tool to the
Mm-hmm.
end consumer.
Yes, definitely, Grant. And I think that sometimes we are forgetting that we are the people that are actually developing AI and generally like the same voice and everything. And yeah, it's still on humans to
Hmm.
understand how much it can support, how much it needs to support stuff. But again, it's all about just making our world more productive and our days on daily basis, right?
And what we see
Amazing.
is these trends or these technologies
Mm-hmm.
kind of flex. So, a
Yeah.
lot of things, when you think of those call systems where you call, press 1 2 3 for this,
Mm-hmm.
now companies, when you call and you get a real person on the phone, that seems to be an asset. People love that. Well, that's what it
Yeah.
used to be. Now, like in the music industry, I saw a stat this week that compact disc CD sales are actually
Mm-hmm.
higher than music download sales now. So
Wow.
this stuff is coming back around. So as
Mm-hmm.
we see
Mm-hmm.
probably more AI generated stuff come out, we'll get to a point where the human touch again will become this
Needed. Yeah. Yeah.
fad or enhanced experience, I guess.
So we will come back to people being the luxury service of
Yeah.
now
So
it's
and I
covered by
think if you can
AI.
work parallel to that, it's like, here's the
Yeah.
real me and here's the AI assistant to give you better
Yes.
experience and make me more efficient, and go down that
Mm-hmm.
path together, down that
Mm-hmm.
yellow brick road to the land of Oz together, versus sending the
Yes.
robot down and you stay back here, you're going to be in a better
Yeah.
position, right? So you need to go with it.
Yes, definitely. And when we are speaking about the experience and overall what we just discussed, what advice would you offer to other companies or like to other individuals that want to start their digital transformation?
I think the first thing is you need to have a conversation with
Mm-hmm.
someone, and that's where, the work that I do from anybody that's looking to implement technology in the business is, I'm not going to sell you on something until I fully understand what
Yeah.
you need. So you need to have that conversation with them and say, here's what I'm thinking. What should I look at? What questions should I have? And a lot of times, if the person you're talking with doesn't challenge you on what you're saying, and they're just like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we can do that, we can do that, we can do that,
Yeah.
they're trying to just sell you. They're not trying to
Agree.
understand you and actually
Help
prescribe
you.
things for
Yeah.
you. You'd never
Yeah.
go to a doctor and say, hey, I need you to cut my arm off. And they'll be like, yeah, sure,
Mm-hmm.
no problem. Right.
Yeah.
I'll cut it off. Right. They're going to be like, why? And then they're going to
Yeah.
test and they're going to figure out
Are you
things like that.
sure? Yeah.
Right. So that's the biggest thing, is there are a lot of professionals out there that just want to sell you the
Yes.
technology and not really make sure it's the right thing for you.
When we are saying as in brackets the professionals there that are helping, well, it can be just the opposite of it. Are there any hints that you can share with our audience, like how people can understand if it is really the company that can support with digital transformation, or it's just another person that decided that they can do it without any experience?
The first thing is, look to see if there's any transformation or technology that's specific to your industry first.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's industry specific, it's a better chance it's going to understand you and it's going to work for you. If
Mm-hmm.
there isn't, then look at, what's the track record of the company or the companies that you're talking to.
Yeah.
How long have they been doing this? Are there actual testimonials from people? And
Mm-hmm.
are they willing to allow you to talk to those people who have given those
Yeah.
testimonials? If they're not, then you can't really trust how legit they are.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, some
Yeah.
of those companies may not be open to that, but that's
Mm-hmm.
the one thing I always ask with testimonials is, if a potential client wants to speak to you, are you open to that?
Yeah.
And most will say yes,
Mm-hmm.
that way. So it's as technology surfaces so fast, a lot of these consultants surface equally as fast, right?
Yes.
So they haven't really had a track record of being successful in that.
Mm-hmm.
So It's the same thing. It's treat it like you would be with hiring somebody, right? If you hire somebody that's fresh out of school, they know the latest technology, but do they understand the interpersonal
Yeah.
skills? Do they know how to work as a team? That type of stuff.
Mhm. I think that's such a big challenge right now, specifically with technologies. We spoke about this point, but when there are so many technologies that can support on digital transformation, and there are people that think that they already handled everything, but it's
Mhm.
still not there. They are too raw for a big challenge like digital transformation. It's really difficult to
Mhm.
understand. And as you mentioned, definitely agree. If there is anyone that has already a feedback and we can speak about that feedback, I think that's one of the points where you can actually trust also that you really did this amazing change for this company, so it means you can handle my issue as well, right? So
Absolutely.
okay, well, this was lovely discussion, Shaun. Thank you so much. Any last words before we will end our episode?
No, I mean, just basically be open to learning and
Mhm.
ask many, many questions.
Amazing. Okay, well, thank you so much. I will make sure that our audience will find you easily with LinkedIn. And yeah, talk to you soon. Thank you again.
Absolutely.